They may be keeping us safe, but will they harm the planet? Environmentalists warn the single-use personal protective equipment could create plastic waste problem, and some companies look for sustainable solutions.
Rice production flourishes during the pandemic. With increased demand and enhanced technology, women in Niger State find greater opportunities in rice processing.
On with the show. Even during a pandemic, go behind the scenes in Brazil at a socially distanced circus where the big top goes drive-in.
Hello and welcome to Africa 54. I'm Chamberlain Uso at Channels Television here in Lagos. I'm joined by Vincent Makori at Voice of America in Washington.
Well, thanks. I'm Vincent Makori, happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Now, due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, the Voice of America has reduced staffing at VOA headquarters in Washington. So as you see, our broadcast will look a little different today and in the near future. We appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Chamberlain Uso in Lagos brings you that story.
Some women involved in rice processing in Niger State, north-central Nigeria, say the COVID-19 pandemic helped business flourish. They say increased demand for the staple from across the country not only multiplied their income, but created opportunities for more women to join in rice production. The International Food for Agricultural Development has also announced an improvement in the capacity of rice farmers in Niger State to produce at least 7.2 metric tons of rice per hectare with enhanced technology and inputs. Channels Television's correspondent Emperor Simon compiled the report.
A rice mill located along Argungu Road in Kontagora local government area of Niger State. Women, both young and old, engage in rice processing here, an activity which involves parboiling of the commodity, drying, milling, winnowing and packaging. Each step provides an opportunity for each woman to earn some money.
Gaskiya mun gode ma Allah saboda in nayi kwana 10 ina samu 12,000.
The leader of the Women Cooperative Society says with the business, the women are rescued from hardship and overdependence on their husbands.
Honestly, we are not feeling the heat, so we are not suffering because we work in day in, day out. We work for people who might not necessarily be here, but we make sure we supply to them door to door. We have their contact.
But the achievements recorded by the women would not have been possible without support from the Value Chain Development Project of the International Food for Agricultural Development, IFAD VCDP.
When we came on board, the farmers were harvesting paddy per hectare 1.8 metric ton per hectare. Today, farmers are harvesting 7.2 metric ton per hectare. That have increased the volume of rice production. It has increased the income of the poor farmers. And in terms of processing, you can see a lot of processing activities that are going on.
For the women, they hope more support will be extended to more women in Niger State to boost their capacity in agriculture. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Let's get more now on promoting local production of staple crops in Nigeria. We're joined by Kola Masha, the Managing Director of Bobangona, an agriculture franchise that supports smallholder farmers. Welcome to Africa 54. For some years now, government policies have been geared towards attaining self-sufficiency in rice production. How much progress do you think has been made in this regard?
So I think, short answer to the question, I think there's been significant progress. I think the reality is, these types of efforts really actually, there's been a lot of work that's been done over many years on this. I think first and foremost, there was a lot of effort around trying to increase the amount of installed capacity of rice processing plants in the country. We saw a dramatic growth in the amount of rice processing plants in the country. In addition to that, I think there was a significant effort around trying to stimulate improved productivity. One, improving some of the aspects of the value chain, quality of the seed, availability of fertilizer, and most importantly, access to finance to ensure the farmers had the money to buy the quality and quantity of inputs. So I think, we are still on the journey. I don't think we are there yet, but we've made significant progress.
Another staple that government is making efforts to increase local production of is maize. With the recent ban by the CBN on importation of the crop, but many think that this will impact this value chain negatively, especially considering local demand. Do you share this view?
Well, I think, the reality is both internationally and domestically, governments have used efforts to try to protect domestic industries as a key strategy to drive domestic growth. If we look closely to Nigeria, back in the early 2000s, when the government put a ban on the importation of poultry, if you look at the growth of the poultry industry over the last 2 decades, it has been astronomical, right? And that has really been driven by that singular policy action of the government. Similarly, if you look at the value, the key, I think what the government is doing today is taking that next step and saying, okay, look, we've placed a ban on poultry, on importation of finished poultry meat. We've seen a dramatic increase in the industry. We see that through the value chain in Nigeria, we create close to 14 million jobs, both in the poultry industry as well as the feed industry and the maize and soybean industry in Nigeria. It's led Nigeria to become actually the single largest, one of the single largest maize and soybean producers on the continent today. So now, I think the government is recognizing that that they're just extending that protection down to the feed side of the value chain. Now, will there be some potential short-term pain? Possibly, but in the medium term, what you're going to see is that this price shocks that we often get in the maize value chain, where one year the price will be rock bottom and the next year it will shoot up to nearly double the price, right? That shock is being driven by some of these challenges around the fact that farmers, some of the challenges around importation coming into the market, creating gluts that actually depress prices for farmers. But what you're going to see now that there's been some protection in the industry is that farmers can now invest with confidence. What you're going to see is farmers will start to invest significantly in increasing their productivity. And I think, there's tremendous effort being done by the CBN to ensure that the supply chain for maize is protected, ensuring that there's access to finance, ensuring that the input supply chain, seeds, fertilizers are available as well. So I think that combination of efforts is going to manifest to a point where Nigeria already has a very dominant position in maize, and it's grown its maize industry significantly, but it's grown that through planting more acreage of maize. Now, the government, through these government efforts, you're going to create an incentive structure for farmers to want to invest on those farms and dramatically increase their productivity, which in the medium term is actually going to be the best thing, not just for the farmers, because the volume of maize they produce will go up. Prices may be moderate. Prices may go down over time, but they're going to be making more money because they have more yield. But then for the industry players, particularly the poultry industry, they're going to be able to have a much more predictable price for their maize and be able to invest with confidence. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where today the industry has to compete with smuggled imports of poultry. The reality is once the maize value chain is fixed, the industry will not have to compete with smuggled imports because they'll be so much more efficient that they will completely be able to nobody will even want to purchase imported poultry.
Kola Masha, Managing Director of Agriculture Franchise, Bob Angona, thank you for joining us today on Africa 54.
In Ghana and West Africa, organic food is growing in popularity as people try to stay healthy during the COVID-19 pandemic. But organic produce is not easily regulated, and some consumers are paying extra for unverified claims. Farmers across the region are creating their own system with support from international bodies to certify organic produce. Stacey Knott reports from Accra.
Until last year, consumers of Ghana's organic produce only had the farmer's word to back up claims of chemical-free food. To guarantee standards, farmers formed what they call a Participatory Guarantee System, or PGS, to monitor and certify each other as organic for buyers.
With PGS, it's a certificate, so it's always easier if you can say that this body, hey, you can call this body, I'm registered with them, they've certified me. So that's why I definitely want the PGS to work.
Imported health foods shop owner Ama Asafo Ajay says that more often these days, customers are asking for local organic products.
People feel more comfortable just immediately looking and seeing that it's labeled organic. Just gives them that peace of mind.
There are other organic certifications in Ghana, but compared to the Participatory Guarantee System, they are expensive and aimed at exports.
PSG will really help the farmers because a lot of farmers shy away from certification. But if it is with the PSG, it's quite cheap and very, very affordable and friendly.
In West Africa, the Participatory Guarantee System is also used by farmers in Benin, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Senegal and Togo. The system is backed by the International Federation of Organic Movements from a project funded by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Stacey Knott for VOA News, Accra.
An increasing number of Kenyans living in the heart of Nairobi are growing herbs from their balconies or organic gardens from their homes. One small Kenyan startup is tapping into the market by mixing animal bone meal and kitchen waste to concoct a soil composite soil to urban farmers to grow food in squeezed spaces.
At a backyard farm in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, Sprout Organic, a locally owned company, mixes animal bone meal, seeds, foliage, dry leaves, twigs, and kitchen waste like banana peels to connect a composite that is sold to urban farmers to grow food in squeezed spaces. Ted Kachanga, an agronomist who co-owns Sprout and runs the business from his Nairobi residence, says their product resembles black cotton soil. Worms are usually added to the mixture to help it mature, a process that takes about 4 weeks. A 20-kilogram bag sells at 3,500 shillings. Kachanga said demand had risen by 10% during the pandemic, which has cut incomes and impinged food supply chains.
So people started realizing that they can make better use of their spaces to grow their own produce, even if it's just a few veggies like skuma, spinach, and also like the regular herbs that you can use as a garnish or dressing on your salads or food.
Economic growth in Kenya has slowed down sharply, with many job losses in sectors like tourism. Urban farmer Francis Wachira used to make a living by renting out tiny tin shacks he built, but the COVID-19 pandemic meant his tenants could no longer pay him. Now he sells the produce from his plot, such as kale, spinach and herbs, and says he earns around 1,000 shillings, which is about $9.
These one rooms, rental houses. Then I change them into goat, dairy goat keeping. So you can see 1, 2, 3. These are 4 rooms. These are 4 rooms. We have around 40 dairy goat. And they are giving good money rather than renting. We are getting good money out of this.
Owners of Sprout said although the technology is not new, they have found their own formula.
From where we started, we have seen tremendous growth in people taking interest in planting in the balconies or in their backyards. So as a result of this, we have created systems that will aid them in this endeavor. So anybody can actually be an urban farmer.
Sprout employs 3 staff. They have patented the formula for the composite They hope to expand production beyond Nairobi to cover other towns.
Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Campaigners fear the coronavirus outbreak could adversely affect the world's environment because of an increase in single-use personal protective equipment. From biodegradable plastic-free visors to reusable face masks, a group of companies in the United Kingdom is finding sustainable solutions in the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. VOA's Mariama Diallo has the story.
Discarded plastic gloves tossed by the roadside and filling bins are a reminder that the COVID-19 pandemic isn't over. As countries try to protect their citizens, demands for PPE has gone up exponentially.
I think all of us are very aware of this massive ramp up in plastic production that really is in the name of COVID-19. And one of the major uses of that has been to create plastic PPE.
Sean Sutherland is the co-founder of the group A Plastic Planet. According to them, nearly 750 million items of PPE were distributed to UK frontline staff from late February until mid-April.
Single-use, ripped off, put in the bin, exist forever unless they're burnt. We need to replace those with something that's much more nature-friendly.
As shown here, using materials other than plastic, Real Brands, a sustainable packaging firm, has recently started producing more than 1 million visor units a week since the beginning of June. Ian Bates, a company co-founder, explains.
It's made entirely of compostable and sustainable materials. So the visor, the clear part, is made of wood pulp, made from trees. It's incredible that it's clear, but that's the case. And this, of course, is made of carton board. And we've designed it so that it would be as simple as possible. So you take it out of the pack, it arrives flat like that. You don't need assembly instructions. You just pop it in like that and straight on your head.
They also plan to produce gowns and gloves. Like Real Brands, other companies are also trying to do their parts by offering more sustainable PPE options, including UK-based Ocean View Mask with its VP195 reusable face mask. The company claims the 3-layer mask can be washed up to 30 times. Nicole McDermott, Chief Operating Officer.
The idea that so many of these masks are disposable, you can wear them for one day and have to be put in the bin, just seems madness. For a key part of our wardrobe to be disposable, it's not sustainable.
Discarded PPE items could add to an estimated 13 million tons of plastic that flows into our ocean every year, according to a 2018 United Nations report. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
Egyptian theatre performers are grappling with job losses and pay cuts amid coronavirus pandemic. Actors from a popular Cairo-based theatre are among those affected. They were only halfway through their rendition of the classic tale Beauty and the Beast when the coronavirus pandemic hit Egypt.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit Egypt, the first country to report a case in Africa in February, many businesses moved their activities online, but Emma Davis, the artistic director and founder of Cairo-based theatre Sitara, decided to shut down the whole business in fear of the spread of the disease.
Even though Egypt's opening up, and even though the government has said that you can open theatres with 25%, especially because we work with families, we don't feel that it's ethically responsible for us to open.
Having survived years of tough economic reforms and government austerity measures, many Egyptians, including the team in Sitara, are unsure of how to weather the coronavirus storm.
Honestly, this whole thing has been a huge emotional strain, and now I feel a bit jittery. Yes, everyone is worried about the future, about their livelihoods and whether or not they'll have a stable income. But the psychological impact is huge. Especially since we're performing artists, we mainly rely on live performances. We can't come together, we can't work on new materials. I don't even see anyone anymore, let alone be able to perform a live show.
The imposed lockdown measures have paralyzed tourism and other vital sectors, hitting the economy hard and slowing down growth forecasts. Several individuals working in sectors including media and broadcasting, aviation and communications who managed to keep their jobs have been slammed with pay cuts of 15 to 25%. Others were laid off altogether and struggled to find work, even in industries like service.
I have been looking for a job ever since last Eid. Employment opportunities are few for managers, even for the staff, because now everyone is back to working with a lesser capacity than the usual flow of any restaurant or cafe.
Egypt's statistics agency in June reported that 26.2% of those with a job have not been working due to the lockdown measures, while 55.7% of working Egyptians have worked fewer hours or days. Its latest data put unemployment at 9.2% in April. Egypt has so far registered over 87,000 cases of coronavirus, although the number of new cases has fallen in recent weeks.
Now, there is an old saying in theatre that the show must go on. But when a global pandemic hits and the playbook on large gatherings is rewritten, shows like the circus cannot go on. As VOA's Arasha Rabasade reports, performers in Brazil took a page from drive-in movie theaters to save their circus.
The coronavirus hurt artists at Estoril Circus in Rio de Janeiro when social distancing guidelines pulled performers from the stage and audience members from their seats.
For us, it was like losing a loved one. We lost the circus for 4 months with no hope of having it back until the vaccine was found.
Anderson de Souza Silva works as a clown. He is one of 35 performers left from a circus that employed 78 before the pandemic. That he still has a job is thanks to a change in how circus goers watch the show.
Today, thank God, we have the opportunity with the drive-in model to start the performance again. I'm very happy to be part of this new project.
By keeping the audience in their cars, circus administrator Nivaldo Jr. says the show adopted a proven winner for social distancing.
We remember the time of drive-in cinemas back in the day. All this time with no work, we were thinking of a way to relieve the stress the pandemic brought. And then the idea came, the drive-in circus.
Local councilman William Cesar says the show keeps his family grounded in the era of COVID.
To be in contact with the culture is very nice. It is amazing. My daughter is loving it. Many times she's the one honking. They won't hear if we clap, so we honk instead.
For circus staff, the show is an opportunity both for work and keeping people connected in a time of hardship.
We do it like the cinemas. Families come to the circus and watch this big show to have some joy in these rough times that we are going through during quarantine.
The Estoril Circus started in Portugal in 1898 and has been in Brazil for 30 years. This is the first time crowds of cars circled the stage instead of people. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News, Washington.
And that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word from Lagos.
Well, thanks a lot, Vincent. We look forward to bringing you another show next week. Remember, channelstv.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.